I don't think there was a lack of effort tonight. You could argue there was a lack of execution.
Pop, what's going on, man?
Nothing like a Thursday night football game, post-game pod after a disappointing loss.
Know a thing or two about that around
11:40 Eastern, East Coast time.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Know a thing or two about that in my lifetime watching my team look like they missed the bus on a primetime game, unfortunately. And, me and Pop have two kind of different conclusions that you'll hear from us. But the result is Commanders 18, technically, Eagles 26. There's a junk touchdown at the end of the game. It was just kind of like... And we'll get into that, too.
Stats padding happening on that last drive.
Yeah, a little bit of Russell Westbrook action on that last drive. Look, man, we stunk tonight. It was a bad game, in my opinion. We were leading 7-3 at the half, 10-6 after the third quarter. And I just kept saying during the second half, this is not a winning effort. This is not a winning effort. And we're still ahead. And you just knew Philly at home, Saquon Barkley, it was like the Baltimore game. It was the same thing. At a certain point, they're going to run you over. You know it's coming. You can't sustain anything offensively to slow the other team down. Just the stinker. I mean, Jaden was bad tonight. Just point blank, just bad. The offensive play calling was bad. The defense was solid keeping them out of the end zone for 3 quarters is great. But this team is not built to win with their defense. So we lost. That's what it comes down to.
Well, you're not going to win a game essentially putting up 10 points and continually giving the other team the ball back.
Yeah.
I really thought the defense competed their asses off. They just couldn't hold up. And you can totally understand that. They just didn't get any help.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. And I really feel like we were up 10-6 going into the third quarter. I don't really view that as an ass kicking. Yes, we got a couple of breaks with some missed field goals, but we were right
7
there,
points left on the board.
And the dam just broke in the fourth quarter. And, we have the ball on their 25-yard line with a 2nd and 1. And 3 run plays, 2 for B-Rob, 1
came up with that.
Right. So to me, it was a horrible play calling, horrible execution at that point. And that was pivotal because that was a really nice drive. That was a really good drive, and we were only down 2.
Yep. And
to me, that was if you talk about the most pivotal moment in the game, it was right there. And then I think it was a mistake not to kick the field goal. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that changes the outcome of this game. But even if they go down and score, you're down 1 touchdown rather than being down 2 scores, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, you kick the field goal at that point, you're up 13-12, right? So you're in this point where that missed extra point really starts to matter. They probably have to go for 2 if they score a touchdown. Now, if they don't get it, you're only down 5. You can win with a touchdown.
There's a vibe change when that happens, right?
Yeah.
Being down 9 or being down 5, your vibe is very different.
Yeah.
In those situations, right? Jaden tries to force a throw and throws a pick. Start to panic a little bit. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the rib. I don't know if it's the Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator on the other side of the ball and Philly's rebuilt and really good DB room. I don't know what it was. Probably a combination of the two. 5 wasn't. He looked like a rookie quarterback tonight. He wasn't himself.
Says it right there in the outline, right? It's worst game as a pro.
Yeah, by far and away. He was inaccurate. He was indecisive. He looked a beat slow. He was putting the ball behind guys, which we've seen for a couple weeks now. A couple drops, but in the most part tonight, Jaden, man. And as really disappointing. Interception at a really key moment. Obviously, Saquon turns around and scores a touchdown as a result.
We don't
3
put
sacks.
any of it on the O-line.
Of course.
The O-line was horrendous.
Well, we were getting walloped in the trenches on both sides of the ball.
The O-line was
both sides of the ball.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the both sides of the ball thing. Like, I think the defense was – I mean, yeah, Saquon broke loose in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But up to that point, and again, at some point, you just – it's incredibly hard to play defense in this league.
You can shoot the defense some bail. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with saying I'm not blaming the defense. But
we played, at the end of the day, people are going to look at the stats and they're going to go with the headlines about how many yards Saquon had, how many yards the Eagles had. And I'm not going to, look, they dominated in the fourth quarter, completely dominated the fourth quarter. That's winning time. I'm going to give them all the credit for it. But I find it hard to blame the defense at that point. Now, offensively, the offensive line was awful. Now, I know that they're battling injuries and, I give those guys credit, short week, being out there pretty banged up. But Brandon Coleman, you talk about worst game as a pro. That was Brandon Coleman's worst game as a pro.
Awful. Awful. Coleman was awful.
Unfortunately, Wiley's had many of them, so I don't know if we can call that his worst one. But he was pretty bad, too.
Yeah, vintage Andrew Wiley performance tonight. Coleman looked terrible. Just the Cliff Kingsbury, man. Maybe it's not for tonight, but real concern on that. What we've seen from Cliff in the last 2.5 weeks. The second half of the Giants game wasn't great either.
Well, it speaks to where we are as a team, which I've always believed is not at the level of competing for a championship just yet. But I gave my takes on that last week, so I'm not going to harp on that this week. But I think to get back to the Jaden point, or make my point on Jaden, I think it was, yes, I still think he's bothered by those ribs. It's clear. The fact that they're having to continually treat him for those ribs, and he's playing through that, all the credit in the world to him for gutting that out. They talked on the broadcast, I don't know if you caught this, Dominic, about he was texting with Kingsbury and he told him, stop protecting me, let me run the ball.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Eagles defense had different things in mind. So if I was going to give, blame for Jaden's performance, I think 70% or more was the Eagles defense. They just are a really good defense. We went up against two of the best defenses in the league, and the Eagles played incredibly well on the defensive side of the ball. And so did we for 3 quarters. But I do think there's a 30% of it is he's not 100% healthy. The good news is we get this mini bye, and we've got the Cowboys coming in next. So hopefully he can get more and more healthy through the course of that time.
Yeah.
And they can go figure it out a bit. Because you know what? Losing sucks.
Yeah.
Losing sucks. And especially when you get a taste of success like we've had so far this year.
We whooped up on some not so good teams early in the year. We built some momentum. We had some good wins too. We had some good performances. I think the performance of Baltimore, good performance, shows you can dance with any team in the league. Performance in Cincinnati, great performance, shows you can dance with any team in the league.
Even last week.
Yeah. Which was probably our worst game this year other than tonight. But
if you're saying worst case,
was just a bad performance. This was just a bad performance. Like there's no 2 ways around it. Last week you could talk about the refs, you could talk about missed opportunities. Tonight was just and it's an offensively driven league. It's just the bottom line. We're all playing fantasy and whatever. It's about getting things done on the offensive side of the ball. And really, we should have never. I mean, the kicker left 7 points on the board. Like this was not this
they
game.
Did what they could to help us.
This game in spirit, and we got a lot of really good calls We had a couple good PI calls that went our way. We had that missed face mask on Luvu. In practicality, this game was 33-10. If he makes everything inside of 51, which is what you expect the guy to do. You expect any pro NFL kicker to do.
But I still think the defense was getting stops, was holding them to field goals. They couldn't get in the end zone until the fourth quarter. It was the first time they got in the end zone. I think you should, if what you're saying is correct, there should be some level of encouragement that game was that close for that long, and that team. I don't think there was a lack of effort tonight. There was, you could argue, there was a lack of execution, but there wasn't a lack of effort. B-Rob looked good in spurts. I think Jaden, I think the Eagles hurried him up, and I certainly think he's speeding his clock up, and I think part of that is because of his injury. He doesn't want to take those hits. Not that any quarterback would want to take those hits.
Yeah.
But, if you're getting hit, and you're already sore, you're trying to protect yourself and speed your clock up a little bit. That's definitely been impacting it.
It's very odd, though, because he's speeding his clock up, but he's indecisive at the same time. And that's what makes me uncomfortable. Was like we saw in the Tampa Bay game, and this is not long, has no impact on my long-term
making it out to be.
Evals of Jaden. That's not where I'm going at all. But I don't like he seems caught in between whether or not he wants to run or stay in the pocket. I saw a few of those tonight. I saw a few hesitations. I saw it last week as well. I don't love that, but at the end of the day, the historic rookie season start was a historic start for a reason. And even if he's coming back down to earth a little bit, I still think we've got a heck of a football player back there. It doesn't change how I feel about Jaden at all. I'm just disappointed because my team got walloped on Thursday Night Football.
The performance wasn't very good. And I'm not going to try to make the argument that it was. I think there's something to be said for the fact that he's raised the bar so much in terms of what we expect out of him. I don't think it was awful. I mean, he's not being helped that much. We don't know how open the receivers were. Those kind of things. I mean, I don't know. I see a kid that's competing, that's battling, that continues the fight. I thought, like I said, that drive down 12-10, the ball was coming out quick. He started to heat up. Everything was good until 3 straight runs, and we couldn't convert 1 yard.
Well, and
he looked really good on that drive.
You get to 2nd and 1, and me, my buddy that I'm watching the game with, my dog, my next door neighbor, and my landlord are all going, take a shot. 2nd and 1, go to the end zone. And you come out jumbo package, and you run directly into the back of the center, and then you do the same thing again on 3rd down. And at this point in the game, we've been getting worked at the line of scrimmage. We've been getting worked. Their offensive line is clearly banged up. Biadish has got an injury on damn near every appendage of his body at this point. Brandon Coleman's playing on a bum shoulder and has no Cornelius Lucas to rotate in.
I can relate.
I mean, Biadish is hurting on a level that Pop hurts after 9 holes of simulated golf in the garage. And it's just a complete... and the success that they had on that drive was moving the launch point, moving the pocket, getting Jaden on the outside, getting the ball out quickly. And to just completely abandon that when you get into the red zone, which is what we've seen from Kingsbury all God-loving year. What are we doing, man? What are we doing? That for me was really frustrating and upsetting. And then for the defense to just get gashed on a 50-yard run the next drive was really just the nail. And it just, they went into the locker room for the halftime adjustments. We all said we'd take 7-3 at the half. And then I
felt good. I'll be honest. Yeah. I felt good at the half.
We all said we'd take it.
Yep.
And then, you get outscored, 23-3, essentially. I'm sorry that I'm not willing to count that Mickey Mouse 8 that we got at the end of the game. You get outscored 23-3 in the second half. You're not going to win a single football game. I bet you couldn't find me a single stat where a team's won a football game doing that.
No, it's like I said earlier. I mean, the dam broke open and they dominated the fourth quarter. And I don't know how many of the yards they put up in the fourth quarter. They ended up with 434 yards versus our 264. They seemed to dominate time of possession and wasn't that bad. They had ended up with 33 minutes, but again, maybe we got some back on that, garbage time drive, which I'll agree. Was they're probably playing soft and getting us to run the clock all the way down, not giving up too much. So if we got a quick score there, it'd be a different story, but we didn't.
Yeah.
So, but I look, it's a great thing about Dom and Pop. We flip roles. After the Pittsburgh game, I was pissed. Dom was optimistic. Now Dom's upset. Wheels are coming off the cart. I'm a little bit more optimistic, right? I can't wait for the rematch. I really can't. Because I just saw a team that, like you said, played poorly offensively, wasn't Jaden's best. At defense, battle like heck. Jalen Hurts did not look good for 3/4 of that game. He was missing receivers. He was hurried up. He was hurried up. But, Saquon ended up kind of breaking loose and the water just burst through the dam and it was kind of over. But, once we went down 9, I kind of knew.
Oh, yeah. I kind of
knew at that point that was going to be, especially the fact that we couldn't score.
Yeah. However.
But I feel we talked about the schedule. We got the Eagles again. This ain't over. Us winning the division is not over.
No.
It's not over.
And we said that. I said that on Twitter going in. It was the unpopular take on Twitter this week. Everybody's saying this was a must win. I brought a little bit more rationality to the old Bird app and said, hey, you lose a close one in Philly or you drop one, and you split 1-1 with the Eagles on the year, and you just take care of business otherwise, you're probably 12-5.
Yeah, they've got the Steelers and the Ravens on their schedule.
They've got a tough schedule. Who knows? Maybe they finish the year 15-2. And if that's the case, you were never going to be 16-1 anyways. So what are you upset about? If we make it as a wild card at 12-5, you can't be mad. But I think it's the fashion in which it happened for me tonight that was really disappointing. And the last thing that I'll say is it's just the details, man. It's just the details. I mean, Dorrance Armstrong running a spin move and getting 9 yards upfield, completely blow and contain on 3rd and 9 in the red zone against Jalen Hurts. We ended up giving up a touchdown on that drive. Not getting that last sequence before the half, having to not get any points, and then they get 3 points. Really terrible. Not getting 3 on the board there, giving ourselves a little bit of cushion. You go into the half 10-3 versus 7-3, it's a different feeling. Coming out of the half, only scoring 3. Really disappointing. Getting down in the red zone, not coming away with any points. In a point where I applaud Dan Quinn for wanting to be aggressive, but in the flow of the game, you wonder, hey, we take a lead. We maybe put Philly in an uncomfortable position. When Philly got the ball with 7 minutes left on the board and we're down a point and they're on their own 20-yard line, I said to my buddy watching the game, I said, we may not touch the football again. They ended up scoring, so we got to see it again. But at that point, with a team that can run the football that well, we did it to Tampa a couple years ago where we took an 11-minute drive down the field and sealed the game. You're not thinking clearly when you're making decisions like that, in my opinion. And I don't like running out the clock when you get the ball on the 50-yard line. I mean, take a shot. Yeah.
Take a deep ball shot. If you're worried about Jaden getting injured, just tell him, get the ball out of your hands quick. We don't want you taking a hit. But why not throw the ball downfield?
Well, that's what I said. Call a double move to Warren. Have him act like he's taking a speed out. Throw a speed out. You have 5 seconds. You can throw that speed out, get out of bounds, and get in field goal range. It's possible.
I'm not sure that's enough time. But
even just get a quick chunk down timeout. It's 5 seconds is you can get with a timeout in your
but
pocket.
even if you've only
get
got, if you're figuring it's the last play of the half, I don't know why you don't take a shot downfield.
I'm with you. I 100% agree.
Again, if the excuse is I didn't want Jaden to take a hit, which we didn't hear his press conference. Maybe that's what he's saying. You can coach him up
at the end of the game.
This isn't the end of the game. We don't want you taking a hit. Get the ball out of your hands. Get it up in the air quick. It's not a Hail Mary.
Look, right? And I know the NFL has essentially discontinued the onside kick. It just doesn't exist anymore based on the rule changes. And there's like 3 for 30 on the year or something stupid like that. But at one point, you are inside the 30-yard line before the 2-minute warning, down 2 scores. And we've just ran the clock out.
That's true. Well, we had 2 timeouts too. So, yeah.
WTF. There's no other phrase. I won't spell it all the way out for you because it's a family-friendly program, but there's no other phrase.
Well, he raised the white flag. What Dan Quinn did at that point, he said, we can't beat this team tonight.
And that's unacceptable.
That's what he said.
To me. That's unacceptable to me. That I can't stomach. He raised the white flag at the end of the first half. He raises the white flag at the end of that game. That, to me, is pathetic. I can't stomach
that. Look, I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. And maybe this is the old guy talking here, but this franchise has been through 30 years of misery. You've lived through most of it, right? We all got super excited. We thought Dan Quinn walks on water, Adam Peters walks on water, Cliff Kingsbury walks on water. Joe Witt's been up and down, but, defense is competing. We don't. Dan Quinn's not a perfect coach. Believe it or not, Adam Peters is not a perfect GM. And this is a team that was 4-13 last year. That's, so if we make the playoffs and win 10, 11 games, that's an amazing turnaround. And look, I just said it earlier. I think we could still win the division. So I'm not giving up by any means. And I don't think this game, battling a team that might be the best team in the NFC right now, right? That might be a team that's representing our who's better than them right now in the NFC. So, we battled them. We had an opportunity on a really good drive to take the lead and just stalled for the reasons we've already talked about. So, but yeah, it's just not going to be perfect. There's still holes on this team, roster-wise.
Yeah.
You got to have more than one receiver that can get open, And yeah, the quarterback looked more like a rookie this week than we've seen him look all year. I'll take one rookie performance out of 11 right now.
With you.
I think that's pretty good odds. Yeah.
Yeah. And you would have, you can do the zoom out game. And for me, that's a tomorrow, next week thing. And that's where I'll land. I can't find a way to feel good about my team. You want to say it wasn't an ass kicking. You get outscored 20. You get outscored 23-3 in the second half.
But you've got to look at circumstance. Circumstance matters, and we talked about it, right? That 2nd and 1 on a drive where Jaden started cooking and we looked good. That to me was the turning point in the game, right there.
Yeah,
and so you do, you convert that second down or third down or fourth down, you might be looking at a different picture. Not saying we win it, but I don't think I just don't. I mean, you battle a team midway through the fourth quarter and you're right there. I can't call that an ass kicking. It got away from us at the end. No question about it. But that's fine. Semantics.
Like I said,
it's a very disappointing loss, and the better team won tonight. Bottom line, right?
And it ain't as close as anybody wanted to think it was going into this game.
Better team won.
Those two teams. It's not.
But I
Maybe it
saw
will
some
be
things.
after some
I saw some
rest.
things, and we could talk about this in the Week 15 pregame. Saw some things that we could be encouraged by the way our defense played their offense. If we could just get something going on offense in the rematch, it'll be a home environment. I saw some things there that
Higher stakes at that point in the year.
Yeah, and yeah, we got to beat them if we want to be there. If we want to be at that level this season, it'll come down to winning that game. And if we can win that game and take care of business, where we need to the rest of the season, we can get the division. We're only a game and a half back, so we definitely got to take care of business next week. But it's nice. I think the team needs this break in a big way.
Yeah.
We'll do some awards.
Yeah. Let's do these awards.
I know you wanted to go. Just let everyone know Dominic didn't want to hand out any awards today.
No, I didn't.
He did not. He protested the award. So just so you know.
Yeah, I wasn't particularly stoked on doing the awards. I was ready to just say when you fold like that, you can't do it. But it's where we're at. We're doing awards. Sauce Award. Frankie Louvu continues to be the best player on the field.
He deserves an award.
That was what Pop said. I was like, man, I don't want to do awards. And Pop was like, Louvu at least deserves a shout. And I was like, all right, fine. And then I opened up the outline and we had awards. So we're doing awards. Frankie Louvu, 10 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits. Pretty darn good performance by Frankie Louvu individually. We need about 10 more of them out there. And then we need him to also learn how to catch passes and have about 3 of them on the offensive side of the ball. Helmet stickers. Jeremy Chin led the team in tackles. Led the team in tackles with 13 helmets, 13 tackles. Really good. He's been really good all year. Really like what's going on with Jeremy Chin here. He's found his home, I think, in the system and on defense. Just the archetypal Dan Quinn type of player. Really excited to see how he elevates once Marshawn Lattimore joins this defensive back group as well. Brian Robinson, 16 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown. Was averaging a lot in the first half. They seemed to kind of adjust, clamp down on the run in the second half, and didn't see a ton of him down the stretch, but the game script didn't really dictate that. It's kind of a chicken or the egg. Enough. Yeah, it's like a chicken or the egg. It's like a chicken and the egg thing when it comes to you're not sustaining drives on offense versus your running back not getting a lot of touches. It just kind of, you can't sustain drives without that, and you can't get a lot of running back touches without long sustained drives. So, but I think he did well when the ball was in his hands. He was the main reason we were in this thing offensively, and the other main reason was Austin Eckler, who had 8 catches for 89 yards. Thank God for 2 things. Pop benched Austin Eckler in our fantasy league. We're playing each other, and our fantasy league doesn't give a penalty for missed kicks, and I had Jake Elliott as my kicker this week. So that worked out pretty darn well for me tonight, at least on the fantasy side. There's a silver lining. So my boys are sliding in fantasy, so we need this one against Pop this week. But
Eckler only ended up with 12 fantasy points, so I got faith in the guys in my starting lineup to match.
I guess it's only a half-point PPR league, so
yeah.
But it would have been a heck of a day in a PPR league. But kickouts of the game, 3 for 12 on third down. We were 1-9 until garbage time and 0 for 1 on fourth. I think we're 1 for 2 on fourth because we got a 4th down in garbage time as well.
I don't know. I got that off the stat sheet.
Yeah, it must have been 3rd down.
I don't think there was a 4th down.
So stinky when it mattered.
That to me, that's the story of the game: the inability to convert 3rd downs. The number of, I don't know if it was a lot of 3 and outs or not. I can't really remember. I'm not going to go through the play-by-play to get that, but it just seemed like we just kept giving the ball back. Early in the game, that's where the panic button was being hit by a lot of fans on Twitter. Turned out to be right. I was thinking that they would figure things out, and I don't know. I keep going back to it. That one drive was looking pretty good until, and yeah, I don't think Cliff has had his best couple of games calling plays, but the league's going to catch up a little bit, especially against two of the top defenses in the league. But yeah,
Yeah,
not good.
I mean,
not good when you can't convert any third downs or just 1 out of 9.
Yeah, all of that makes me very. It's too early to make these feelings be fully legitimate, but certainly does make me very nervous with Cliff specifically. I just don't like to see such a drastic change in efficiency in the last 2 weeks. It's like, what the hell is going on?
I think the change we've seen in the last 2 weeks have much more to do with the opponents, quality of the opponents, especially the quality of defensive teams that we've played. We saw it week 1, against Tampa, who played great defensively that game.
Yeah.
I think it has mostly to do with that than anything else. And we talked about, Jaden maybe not being 100%.
Yeah.
Right. But look, we also talked about that offensive line performance. Maybe not enough. Right. I mean, the guy was taking some big hits back there. And the protection wasn't good.
Yeah.
It just wasn't. So we could have easily have given the Kikats the game to the offensive line. So it has to be better. I would have liked to have seen them stuck with B-Rob more early. I thought there were some first down pass plays that didn't need to be the case. Jaden playing out of shotgun, but sucks to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. Goes without being said. Really, really sucks to lose. Just really. There was some good stuff in moments. Some positive plays were made. I mean, at the end of the day, we did gain a couple hundred yards on offense. So some good stuff did happen at some points, but just overall, really disappointing lack of ability to secure things down the stretch and to let one get away from us that quick. But I think personally, I'm about ready to wrap this thing up, Pop. I don't know if you got much more to get after. Bottom line, you want a key takeaway? 1 for 9 on third down, -1 in the turnover margin. You lose time of possession, you get beat up in the trenches on a division game, on the road, on a short week. That's what happens. So let's.
Can I ask you a question before you wrap it up?
Sure.
Who you got? Mike Tyson or Jake Paul?
Oh. I'm never betting against Mike Tyson.
I think we're on record saying we hope that Mike Tyson knocks his head off.
Yeah.
See. But anyway, that was just a little side note there.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever betting against Mike Tyson.
That'll be fun tomorrow night.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that's not where you want to. Betting against Tyson is not where you want to be.
No. Well, we'll see. But, I mean, it's a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. So, and there's some debate about is it a legit fight or not. Right. That we'll have to wait and see.
Live on Netflix.
It'll be entertaining. I'm going to the Maryland basketball game tomorrow night. So I hope I make it back in time. Maryland Marquette, which should be a really good game.
Well, it's 8:00 Eastern
tonight,
time.
I should say. Tonight,
yeah.
But when the pod comes out, yeah, I think that's the undercard. I think there's another. I think 2 women are fighting too. I think there's an undercard that happens first. So my guess is they probably don't go off till later in the night.
Yeah, I don't go off till.
But I always see the replay. Anyway.
Anyways, guys, it'll be a mini bye for us as well. We'll be back with a pregame pod next week at our normal time, so probably Wednesday or Thursday. Maybe we do a day early, but I'd bet you'll hear from us again on Thursday for the bottom bets. Squad's got to get some rest as well.
We're going to take the weekend off.
Yeah, take the weekend off to rest, and Just
some good games on Sunday.
focus up.
There's some good games on Sunday.
Some good games on Sunday for sure. And we got 10 days before we play a really terrible Dallas team. Opportunity to get right. All the
7
division
games
games
to go. There's going to be a lot of wins in those 7 games.
God willing. I hope so. Let's wrap this thing up, Pop. Yep. Let's wrap this thing up, Pop. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
And thank you, everybody, for another great week. And hail to the Commanders.
Hail.